Wow, let's start with Leeds United and their performance against Chelsea. Absolutely outstanding from start to finish, weren't they?
Yeah, I mean, Leeds, I thought they were absolutely amazing. Ellen Road is it's a beautiful stadium, isn't it?
Yeah.
Old school. The fans, I think they relished it. And credit Jesse Marsch, you know, he's ambitious, he's brave, he's aggressive. And they played kind of in his manner, in the way he wants to play football. And I think they just surprised Chelsea with their intensity and their effort.
Did it surprise you, the game itself, the way that Leeds pressed Chelsea as much as they did?
No, I don't think it did, because I think if we look at Leeds' side and the players that they have in their side, obviously, you know, they've got Harrison, and they've got Aronson, and they've got James, they've got Rodrigo.
Yeah.
Even Adams and Rocco. All these guys are really young, athletic, energetic, and they want to press and with great intensity. And I thought they did that. Obviously, the first goal came from Aronson, just forcing Mendy into a mistake. But this team is in the mould of Jesse Marsch. Obviously, it was Bielsa's before. A lot of transitions. You think about losing Calvin Phillips. It's huge for them. Obviously, they lost Rodrigo, but they look better balance for whatever reason. I just thought they blew Chelsea away with their effort.
Yeah, you mentioned Darrenson. Let's have a look at the goals then that Leeds scored against Chelsea. And it was his press, as you quite rightly say. He'd done it a couple of times, actually. Gone to press the goalkeeper down. Didn't get his rewards, but this time he did.
Yeah, you know what, Matt? He's a really good player. Technically, he's a good player. He's intensity, he can press. And obviously, set pieces are a huge thing as well. Rodrigo, he's firing on all cylinders. And you think about how, you know, with Dan James and Harrison, all of a sudden they've got all these weapons. And if they're clinical in front of goal, they're going to be a threat for everyone.
Rodrigo's enjoying life at the top of the pitch as well. Think he looks better suited there, Rodrigo?
Well, that's his natural position.
Yeah.
That's where he played for Valencia, where he played for Spain. You think about, obviously, losing Rafinha, you think, wow, you're not going to be able to replace him. Somebody needs to step up. And so far, Rodrigo and Harrison, they've stepped up with goals and assists.
I think it was really interesting when we looked at the teams and the way exactly that Leeds set up. That this front four, they were very narrow.
Yeah.
Really compact, really close together.
Well, I think all the teams we've seen, you know, covering the Premier League, we've seen all the teams that press. And they basically squeeze one side. So, you know, whether it's that front four, we say narrow, they're narrow because they want to press. So whether they squeeze on one side or centrally or the other side, basically everybody shifts over. And all the teams basically work in, if the ball's over here, they'll work in one half. Everybody's in that half, vice versa on the other side, they're in there. And that's what makes a press. Is, you know, we did it with Conte when I interviewed him. I said, did you have a distance front to back, what you liked in terms of the group? So whether you played if they played a top team, you know, they'd be really deep. If they played a weaker team, they'd be really high up. And that compactness, Matt, is one of the most important things.
Yeah, I think this mirrors really exactly what Jesse Marsch wants. He wants his team to outrun the opposition. So if we look at the numbers from the game itself, you look at the distance covered. It starts initially 113 kilometres, best part of just over 99 for Chelsea. So 13 kilometres more in the game. Pressures. I think this is really interesting. We're talking about Leeds now and how they press from the front. 256 compared to 130. So that's nearly double the amount of pressures in the match. Pressures in the final third as well. They're allowing Chelsea to try and play out. And as soon as they do, then they go. So 59 in the final third compared to Chelsea's 34. But not just that. The bottom one tells you that they're actually winning the ball back as well. Pressures that result in a turnover. So 61 of those pressures meant that they won the ball back.
Well, I mean, that one alone, you know, the distance covered. We always talk about, you know, distance covered. How important is it? That's an extra player. So basically, you almost play with another player. A player runs on what, on average? 10, 12K? Yeah. You know, which is quite high. So basically, you basically have an extra player. 256 pressures. I mean, that's out of this world, really. We think about Chelsea, their pressing side. You know, they didn't get anywhere near that. So the only problem you're going to have with this, Matt, is it sustainable?
Can they do it all season?
No, nobody can. You know, it's not sustainable. But the point is, you know, you get pressures in the final third and resulting in turnovers. You get that because if you win it, then the boys keep doing more. They keep doing more. The problem is, over a 38-game season in this league,
injuries.
You're not going to be able to do it. The one thing I would
good enough.
Well, the one thing I would say is, Matt, the first press is important. But I think when teams get beyond the first press, we've seen teams really struggle. You know, if you can get beyond the first press, then there's plenty of space that opens up.
How does it compare to Marcelo Bielsa, Jesse Marsch's style? Let's have a look at Marcelo Bielsa and exactly how they set things up, if we can. It's not actually queuing up. So we can't actually get our Leeds press under Marcelo Bielsa. Here it comes. Let's have a look. It's slightly different, isn't it, under Marcelo Bielsa, because they're man for man. It's very different. They go all over the pitch, don't they? They just follow their man for man. And if they get beaten in that man for man, it's real trouble.
Well, and it sounds simplified, but that's how it was, man. You're right. You know, everybody's man for man. And if somebody beats someone, plenty of spaces open up. And it's a shame, really, because Bielsa did such an amazing job getting this side back to the Premier League, and everything was about the intensity in the press.
Yeah.
But, you know, as you see on this clip, if one person's late...
And that's all it takes, isn't it?
One person, and then there's a little gap and somebody has to adjust, as we see there.
Yeah.
You get chopped. One good pass,
yeah,
and you're in. And then it puts so much pressure on the back line. They get spread. And against a team like Liverpool, if those pockets open up with Mane and Salah, Firmino, you're in big trouble.
Yeah. And it cost him his job in the end, didn't it, Bielsa?
I miss him.
Because of that. We all miss him. We all miss him, absolutely.
But you know what? The way they were defending, they had to make a change just because they were too open. They were conceding too many goals, and that philosophy that got them up, which was exceptional. Jesse's just tweaked it a little bit. You know, they don't do that man to man.
Do you think the perception of Jesse Marsch has changed a little bit now as well? Because Jesse Marsch, American coach coming in, everyone was a bit sceptical, weren't they?
Yeah.
Do you think the perception has changed now with this result in particular?
Definitely, especially if you play a top side like Chelsea and you almost beat them at their own game with the press and the high intensity. I think you're right. A lot of people, you know, whether he's American or not, and you know, people are a bit sceptical of Jesse Marsch. But this performance, I think, changes everything for him.
Okay, well, let's have a look at this weekend then against Chelsea and how they pressed in this game in particular. If we can just set this up and try and play it through. This is now. So this is the thing that impressed me the most. If I just play it on slightly, is I was talked about how narrow they play, but the numbers they get around the ball.
Amazing.
Look at how they're hunting it. We said about how narrow they are. Look at this. Look how tight they are.
Yeah.
How many players there are in that area? 7 players in the middle of the pitch hunting the ball.
And again, and we spoke about if the ball's there, then the right side of players, they'll go over and squeeze. They don't mind that coming out to Cucurella. They're cool with that because if they can win it there, it's a quick transition to the goal. If it comes out to here, then they have loads of time to recover and get back in. So this is exactly how they want to get a turnover possession.
Great work rate. All hunting the ball, win the ball back, ends up in a shot on goal. Good play as well, the interchange.
And I think you're right, Matt. I don't think they got enough credit on the weekend. They actually played some great football when they turned it over. You know, these guys aren't just running around. You know, obviously, they're trying to get to Cucurella really early.
Everyone backs it up. We talked about if one person switches off, it's a problem. I think what we saw this weekend was every single person was on their game and they're on their job. They knew exactly what they're doing, so they're squeezing in. If the ball goes into midfield, you can see he's on the front foot now. Can I squeeze in? If the ball goes a little bit further and a bit higher into Raheem Sterling, we're still on the front foot and we can squeeze in. And everybody's tight.
And all these guys are really athletic. You know, whether it's Roca or whether it's Tyler Adams or whether it's Aronson or Harrison, Dan James, Rodrigo, all these guys.
And they can all run.
All these guys can run.
Yeah.
And all these guys, when they see this, they're going to want to run and get after people. And when you're turning over the ball, it gives these guys so much confidence just to keep doing it.
Yeah. And there we were saying, ball into Sterling, tight, all the way in. Ball going out to the goalkeeper. Now, doesn't get his reward on this occasion. But you can see it straight away. Can he go? And he's trying to close the goalkeeper down now. He's thinking, if he makes a mistake, he has an extra touch, I'm going to win the ball back. But it's not just that. You can see already, on their way. On their way. If the ball goes into Thiago Silva, he's on his way. They're all on the front foot.
That's the thing that impresses me, Matt. Most teams press for 3, 4, 5 seconds, and if it doesn't come off, they give up. But with this one, you know, if...
Yeah, I think is it the rule? What is it? Win it back in what, 5 or 6 seconds, I think that's what they say, isn't it?
It does, but, you know, if we run this on just a little bit, you'll see that they keep pressing, you know. Tyler Adams, they're waiting. They're waiting for that moment. Koulibaly, that's a dangerous ball into Gallagher, and they're there again, you know, and there's nothing on. Can't get it really into Cucurella. You know, it's not into Havertz, it's not really there. So because the boys are pressing with great intensity, there's no options for Chelsea. There's no outball, and that gives the players and Jesse Marsch and the fans, the atmosphere at Elland Road was amazing.
But then when you win it back, you've got to be able to play as well.
And they can. They got good technical players.
And this is the goal. And what I like about this is Aronson, he actually gives the ball away, look. So he's given the ball away now. What's his reaction? Lots of people give the ball away. I'm giving it away. They stop. What does he do? He chases, and he chases, and he gets his reward for chasing Mendy down. Mendy has an extra touch, he reads it, and Elland Road was absolutely rocking. Absolutely rocking. And he celebrates every goal, doesn't he?
Yeah, he does, yeah. Look, he wears his heart on his sleeve. He knows for the crowd and for the game and for everything. That's a huge moment for him, for a new signing in Brendan Aronson, who's technically a really good player, but embodies kind of the press. I just thought everything kind of came off for Leeds, and they were absolute deserving winners.
I mean, this is for the Leeds players trying to learn a different style of play under Jesse Marsch. How difficult is that, do you think? And
well, I think it is hard, especially when they all had such an emotional bond
Yeah.
with Bielsa. But I think they So he kept them up. You know, they were in a really difficult spot. They lost Phillips and they lost Rafinha. You think, but they bought well.
Yeah.
They bought some good players. I think they got good attacking players, and they'll be a threat just because they play at this speed. I think they'll lose big sometimes, because if you get beyond the first press, there'll be lots of space. But for Jesse Marsch, it's a fabulous start.
So Bamford wasn't available this weekend. How does he fit into this style of play? Does he fit into this style of play? Because actually their win percentage with and without Bamford is quite stark. I think it's 40-odd% with him and less than 30 without him. So they're better with him in the team. History will tell you that anyway.
Well, he's a good goal scorer, but I think in the way he wants to press, and they're all kind of smaller players, you know, physically really athletic, I think it suits in a game like that. Obviously, Bamford's a great option, a great focal point, and probably their best finisher. But Rodrigo's going to stay as your number 9 if he's top scorer in the league, so he's flying.
Where are you on Leeds this season? And I asked that question because at the start of the season, there were a lot of people favourites to go down.
Were they?
I think so.
Wow.
I think so. Ask Leroy later. We'll come to Leroy a little bit later.
We're going to have to ask him.
But Leroy thought Leeds would be a team that might struggle this season, and yet here they are. Had a great start to the season. Wonderful performance against Chelsea. What do you think?
No, I don't think they'll struggle. I think the problem is you've got six good teams, and then you've got, you know, probably 7 to 14. So there's almost 3 leagues. I think Leeds are probably in that middle one. You know, I think if mid-table would be great for them. But they're a really young side, one of the youngest. You know, they've got a different philosophy in Jesse Marsch. So I think, you know, if they can get 1 or 2 new additions before the window, I think they're going to be hard to play against.
They're definitely a team that know what they're doing, don't they?
Yeah.
They know their style. They know the way they're going to play. They are going to press. It's going to be high energy. It's going to be high intensity. That was Leeds. What about Chelsea, the team that they dismantled this weekend? Where are Chelsea right now? Because I watched them at Goodison, first day of the season. They were okay.
Yeah.
They got the job done. Yeah. Jorginho penalty. They won the game reasonably comfortably. Then I thought they were excellent against Spurs. And now they get hammered at Leeds, and I'm not quite so sure now where Chelsea are.
Well, I think we all watched the game against Spurs and were blown away how good they were. You know, Cucurella played on as a left wing back. I thought he did that brilliantly. Obviously, Loftus-Cheek played as a right wing back. He did that really well. But then the performance against Leeds was...
Now you're scratching your head, aren't you?
Well, it's a worry. You know, I think it's a worry. So I think...
What about the recruitment that you've seen from Chelsea so far? Have you been impressed with some of the players that they brought in?
Well, I think they're all really good players. I mean, who's going to argue? You've got Raheem Sterling.
Cucurella,
you've got Koulibaly. Great, really good players. The only one question I'd say is, you know, you bought Cucurella for, what, 62 million?
Yeah.
You've got Chilwell, who cost 50. So you got 110 on left backs, but you don't have a centre forward.
Yeah.
You know, so...
Well, they've let Lukaku go. They've got Brozier. So, OK, so what would you say was Chelsea's best team then? If we're looking at this now, and this is the team that he picked against Leeds at the weekend, back 3?
Well, that's his formation, isn't it?
That's his formation.
That's his formation, for sure.
OK, personnel then. Reece James in a back 3. What do you think?
He's good there, but I think he's almost their best attacker.
So he's wasted.
So he's got to play as a wing-back, doesn't he? He's got to play up there.
I'm of the opinion that he has to play in a position where he can really hurt the opposition.
Definitely.
And whilst, even in this position, he's still got the licence to get forward, I think he's more dangerous here,
well,
personally.
Then you'll probably see Thiago Silva, you know, whether these two rotate. I think you could see Cucurella in there. And then Chilwell could play there. I mean, you think about the goals and assists you got from the left wing-back. James and Chilwell were almost the 2 most important attackers. So I think you'll see Kante will come in there for
he's got
Gallagher.
Kante and Kovacic both injured. So they're both out at the moment.
Two arguably world-class midfield players, aren't they? I think the only question is really, Matt, at the top of the pitch, you know...
Is this so are we thinking that he's going to bring someone in? But, I mean, Aubameyang's been mentioned, hasn't he?
I think they'll try, yeah. But if you think, they still got Ziyech, they got Pulisic, you know, they got all these options. Brozier, who's a fantastic young player, you know, he's probably not going to play that many games. So you think about, Thomas Tuchel's got to find a way and settle on a team. You look at Jesse Marsch, you know, and the way he settled on his team. Conte settled on his starting 11. I think Thomas Tuchel has to settle on a group of players. I think right now he's got a lot of good players, 15, 16. I'm not sure he knows what his best team is.
What about, so you mentioned the top end of the pitch. Let's have a look at it and exactly how they lined up this weekend. So he played really Mount as a false 9. He played Havertz off the right, Sterling off the left. Now, we've seen, in the first couple of games, Sterling play through the middle. I think he's done OK. I actually think he's done OK.
He's good there, isn't he?
I think it's not a problem. And he floats around, he gives the centre-half a problem because he drops a little bit deeper and he asks questions of them. I think he's done OK there.
Yeah.
I still think, like many people, that they are missing a number. But Brozier, they've got Brozier. it looks like. Do you think Brozier's going to stay, or do you think he's going to go?
I love him. I think he's great. If I was a young kid and I wasn't playing, I'd want to go play elsewhere, like he did at Southampton. But I think if we look at Chelsea, we always talk about Chelsea and Thomas Tuchel's side. They defend with 5.
Yeah.
So they got the back 3 and the 2 in front. You know, they kind of just sit. These guys are up there.
Yeah.
Always. You know, regardless of personnel, and these guys are kind of in and around the box. So, you know, we know he kind of defends with 5 and he attacks with 5. But I don't know, it feels like it needs tweaking. You know, Sterling had a great chance. Could have made it 1-0. Yeah. And then I think it's a completely different game. And then obviously Mendy makes a mistake. So I think if they cut out the mistakes, we'll see a really good Chelsea side.
Do you think Aubameyang makes a difference to this team?
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
They need a goal scorer. I just think centre forwards know the runs to make. I mean, we see with Erling Haaland, you know.
Yeah.
His timing of his runs, he knows where to be and when. All these guys are fabulous players. But really, it's not natural to be in the box, and so I think it just a number 9 gives them a different.
Yeah, just one quick one on the back 3 as well. Reece James, think he's playing there for his pace because of the Koulibaly, Thiago Silva, Azpilicueta.
It's
a bit of pace.
It's a great point, Matt. Yeah, I think he is. I think he's because he's smart. He can play in there. He's really good in here in central midfield. Yeah. But the thing is, you miss his goals and assists. You miss his quality at the top of the pitch. So I'm sure you'll see him next week. He'll be back to wing back.
It's going to be really fascinating, isn't it, to see what Thomas Tuchel does in the coming weeks and who actually they sign in this transfer window as well. Still 10 days or so to go in that.